guys. Week 46, a week in the shop, firing it up. It's gonna be a good week. Got great weather, had a cold front come in. Let's get to it. All right, now the clip is bent correctly. Piece of cake. Should be more of the same on this side. Boom. Brakes are done. We just wait on the tires. Alright, got another rear brake job in this here Cadillac SRX. It's going to be really quick though. I'm not going to film the whole thing. Just going to knock this thing out real quick. Now watch how fast these brakes get done. Voila! I told you it'd be quick. Both sides are done. It only took like, what, 2 seconds? Alright, just a quick road test. This Cadillac's all done. And we'll go up front and see what's next. Oh, that's not running good. It's not supposed to be like that. Apparently, this Toyota Yaris 2007 isn't seeing a lot of love. 161,760 miles on the clock. Maintenance required. Customer states, no start. It had a dead battery. I put my jump box on it. I used the old conventional one. It hasn't seen a lot of love lately. Plus the battery was so dead. I didn't want to try to use my electronic small jump box. This one's very trustworthy when the batteries are stone dead with no voltage. Customer also wants to know about their motor mounts, which you can feel it runs terrible. Like the idle's at like 300 RPM. But the check engine light's not on, possibly because the battery was so dead. And also they wanted to know about the door switches, which obviously are falling into the door. They're broken probably. I'm going to pop the Phillips screw out and take a look. You can see how bad it's running. If I rest my hand on the arm rest, that's no bueno. They also wanted to know they got a brake light out, and they said check motor mounts, obviously, like I said, for the rough running, but it's actually just not running right. Not to mean the motor mounts wouldn't be bad. But if you put it in gear, I mean, you can watch the hood. See the hood shaking? So, something going on with the way it's running. The idle's a little low. I'm going to put my scanner on it real quick. They charge them an hour labor to check everything. Alright, interestingly enough, and the hood's dancing. Look at that thing go. It's like a belly dancer or something. It's got no codes. You can see the engine speeds in the mid-4s. Kind of strange. No misfires. The fuel trim's showing rich on the short fuel trim. It hasn't been running that long. The cold light just went out in the cluster, so it may need to warm up a little bit to start controlling the fuel trims a little better. We'll give that a few minutes and see what happens with that. But a lot of times in these Toyotas, they're very sensitive to losing the battery memory, and it makes them idle funny. So I'm guessing that the customer's been jump starting it and driving it for a while, and it's finally not jump starting for them. So what I'd normally do on these, I put them in gear and let it idle a while, pull the emergency brake on in case your foot slips off the brakes or something like that, and you let it run a while, and it may take 5 or 10 minutes, but all of a sudden the computer will start to control the idle a little bit better, as long as everything's working okay, which should be the case since there's no codes. Letting it run a little while will tell us if a code may come back because the battery was dead or something like that. Or it may just recover the idle and only have that problem because of the battery loss as well. So we just have to let it run a little while in gear, and we'll give it about 5 minutes and see what happens. I'm going to put my hood prop on the brake pedal, hold it in place, and check the brakes. I do have the parking brake on real good, and it holds. I let off the brake right now. The car doesn't move anywhere. I'm not on the brake with it in gear. I got the parking brake, feels really good, so we're good. I'm going to put a wheel chock under a tire too, just so that I feel a little better about it while I look at the brake lights. And then we'll see what happens at the idle speed. Don't try this at home, kids. Alright. Get this hood prop on there pretty good. Uh-oh. one's working. That one's not. And the third brake light's working. Alright, probably has a bulb out. We'll take a quick look at that. Bulb looks a little dark in there. Like it's got the filament burnt out soot on the glass. Idle's still terrible. Still in the mid to low 4s. So that may take a few minutes more. Take a look at this door switch while this is idling. Screwdrivers are great, by the way. Loving on those things. There you go. I know what's wrong with it. I figured it out. Needs this plastic panel. All the little tips are broken off. Dealer part, or you can get one from a junkyard probably. Let's see what they want to do. Could probably even glue it back in place, but that's kind of hokey. Put the screw back in. I'm sure it would have to be ordered from a dealer anyway. It's not going to happen anytime soon. The way things have been going lately, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2 weeks to get it or something. But we'll see. Don't be negative, man. Try to stay positive. It's getting hard, man. Oh, you might have spotted in the background when I was doing my brake job earlier. I moved the Prius because the catalytic converter is going to be here tomorrow. So I moved the Prius to work on it, and the red triangle came on again. Another cell went bad in the battery, so I pulled it back out. I'm going to put another couple of cells in there, replace some more of the old cells. It's been a great week so far. Uh-oh. From Ontario, Canada. My friend from Canada says it that way. That's the only reason I do it. No harm, no foul. Just having fun. 121,196 miles on this 2012 Kia Rajon Rondo. Well, it's just Kia Rondo, but I call it Rajon Rondo because that's his name. If you guys know NBA basketball players, then you know who Rajon Rondo is. But we're going to check it. He says possible suspension damage, and my tire went flat. So we don't know what order things happened. We don't know where Paul Harvey's at. I can't find him today anywhere. So we're waiting on the tires on the Mazda still. It's 11 o'clock. So we started that process at 4 o'clock yesterday. So we got 4 hours into trying to get the tires so I can get it off my lift. So we're going to take a look at this in the meantime. That looks very uncomfortable for whoever was sitting there. But that's not my problem, right? I'm not sitting there. So see if we can get this thing in the air and see if stuff rusted and snapped, or if they popped the tire when they hit a pothole and nothing's wrong with the suspension. We will never know till we lift it up. Every vehicle has lift points. You should always try to get it lifted where the manufacturer would like you to. I'm gonna go out of my way, out on a limb, and say this was driven low on air until the tire blew up. It's also bald, much like this tire, not far behind. It's getting brakes, a tie rod end, and a lineament. We gotta find our lift points first, though. All right, Mazda Taurus is on. Get me a brake pedal. Uh-oh. Oh, that's right. This one you gotta do special tricks. There you go. Just gotta hold it right next to the button for it to start. Let me fix that. Yeah, now I can see out of the rearview mirror a little bit. Kind of. All right, I'm gonna take this thing for a quick drive. Brakes are done. Got new gomas. Muy lindo. All right, I'm gonna put this on my own lift. Whoever did the brake job last didn't have it lined up and tightened it anyway. That's what happens. Got crushed by the caliper here. You got to make sure these are lined up. The caliper has a boss in here, so these have to be at about a 45-degree angle like this, facing that way, so that that ear clears inside here. Otherwise you damage it like that. The tiny little rotors. I'm gonna turn these on a lathe real quick. Knock this one out. Is almost as fast as the Cadillac one, but maybe not quite as fast. It's pretty tight. Huh. That's try going around from underneath, get her from the backside. I have to say that it was tight enough that it wouldn't come loose accidentally. Can't have that. Oh, that's where the work's happening. What are you doing? Pay attention. Looks to me like both outer tower right ends are bad, but they only sold the right one. Not sure why, but just roll with it because of the banjos and stuff. Now, if I was reinstalling this tower end, I'd be a lot more gentler on it, and I'd probably use my my gear wrench puller set. But since I'm replacing it, I'm just going to remove it the quick and easy way. I command you to be disconnected. I've seen a couple of these lately with the grease fitting just left out. Like they replaced it and didn't feel like putting the grease fitting in. I mean, that's worse than not greasing it, because there's a path for dirt and water to get in. And obviously if you didn't put the grease fitting in, you didn't grease it either. I mean, at least screw the thing in. Just saying. Backing up, backing up, backing up, backing up. Not backing up anymore. Now it's time for the grease to enter you. As soon as you start seeing that boot expand, it's good. Don't grease it until grease comes out of the boot that's over greased, and that actually makes the boot leak. Snugged up the belt. They were complaining about a noise. It looks like it's got a little bit of an oil leak up front. They don't apparently have a lot of money though, so I just snugged the belt up for them so it wouldn't squeak quite as much. It was a little loose, as well as having a little oil on it. And we put the battery in. We're not going to do the door plastic. They didn't sell the throttle body service and the mass airflow sensor service I recommended. I'm not sure why. And they just had the battery installation under the diagnosis. It's kind of strange. I went ahead and I cleaned the throttle body and cleaned the mass airflow sensor anyway. So now we're going to fire it up, see if it runs any better. I don't want to... Yeah, it's quite a bit better, like I thought. I didn't want to give the car back to the customer after buying a battery and misunderstanding that that was going to make it run better. So I just went ahead and clean the throttle body and clean the mass airflow sensor. Runs way better. No more shaking. It's running right now, believe it or not. You don't believe me? Alright, I'll show you. There you go. Purring like a kitten. All the shaking, everything's gone. It's probably around 800-900 RPM, like it should be. I could not get it to relearn the idle, so I said the only thing left is either there's a problem with the throttle body, which I doubt because there's no codes, or it's just gummed up and it's going to take forever to relearn the idle, and it won't do it in a normal 5 or 10 minute time span. So rather than wait that long, cleaning the throttle body will restore the idle speed pretty well on these. They're pretty forgiving. It's not like a Nissan. On a Nissan, don't ever clean the throttle body because you'll probably end up having to buy a new one. But anyway, this Toyota Yaris is all fixed up. Apologize, the recording on that thing didn't happen because we got a bunch of people going crazy right now. It's on and off of lunch and all, but anyway, enough excuses. I didn't get to record it, but pretty simple process. I used a nylon brush and some X66 AC Delco induction surface cleaner. I sprayed it in the throttle body and ran a little nylon brush around the throttle blades while I held them open with my screwdriver. And obviously make sure the key's off when you do all that and stuff. I cleaned the throttle body out real good. The mass airflow sensor's 2 Phillips screws. I sprayed mass airflow sensor cleaner on that. It actually had a black film on it. When I cleaned it, it turned silver. So that's why it runs good now. That's not bad at all. Set the front toe and let her go. We're going to go more positive since we're behind the ball joint. Unthreading the tie rod end moves the back of the wheel out. Tightening the tie rod end pulls the back of the wheel in, right? I'm trying to get this customer out of here. He's been waiting. I guess it's not too bad though. Front brakes, a tie rod end, and an alignment in 2 hours. So. And an hour of that I was at lunch. That's not bad really. And I left the lock nut where it was. It's quite a bit out. Gotta get tighter than that. This thing's about to get sad. I'm going to take all the extra head away. Sorry, no head for you. This here Chicago Blackhawks 2001 Nissan Maxima. We're going to do shocks, struts, and axles, and an axle seal. Parts are supposedly all here. Let's get to it. Oh, it's time to make it work. Yeah. I just looked for the wheel lock for 10 minutes. I'm not sure why, but it's always in the last place you look. And he had it right in the center console, easy to find, but with the door closed. So since the door was closed, I wouldn't look there first. I went in the glove box, the trunk, took the spare out, looked around the trunk, looked in all the door things. I'm like, what the heck? And then I opened the lid on the console, and there it was. See? It's easy. 10 minutes, I'll never get back. If they left the door open on the console, then it would make more sense. Let's start working on it. Stop moaning. Side cutters cam. I'm gonna cut this tie wrap. Bracket's missing for some reason. Maybe because the car's 21 years old or something. Brake hose clip. Oh, I just realized these are Nip-X. I don't have to sell these. I like them. I feel a little better about that now. I almost got a little sad for a second. But it worked itself out already without any drama. I'll probably have these out tonight. Do the front tonight. And, oh, I only got 20 minutes. Maybe not. We'll see. I'm going to try. That makes me sad. I can't even reuse this cotter pin. I guess Rain Man Ray's soul would be less painful for at least one more day. I wonder if the new axle will come with a big cotter pin. It doesn't do anything. It just lays there outside the nut, making you feel better about it. I've never seen one loosen up if it was torqued. Ever. 32 millimeter nut. That's a big nut to crack. Now for the old Walker mid-torque. Over here. Oh, Jesus, we have destruction of the studio. In just a split second, it all went to hell. All right, whew, no damage, that's good. Camera's not broke, you guys didn't hurt yourself. You all right? You all right? All right, good. Carry on. With some proper lip holding and some pry bar usage. Look at that. Comes right out of there. Make sure there's no tension on the brake hose. If there is, you gotta take this caliper bracket off. I see a lot of people like disassemble everything. I just take the 2 main bolts out and lift it all off as an assembly and put it back on that way. As long as the pads don't fall out, you're good. Or they, as they would say on Seinfeld, golden, Jerry. The last one's a tricky one. Because now the strut wants to come out. Let's try to pop this axle out of here and let it drip overnight. In case it will. In case it will drip. Ah, there we go. I guess it's not going to drip any fluid. It's probably a little low on tranny fluid then. We're going to do the axle seal on this side too. Maybe I'll talk them into doing both while we got both axles out. Might as well, right? My calculations are correct. Yeah. We're piling up parts. Stoked we're going to finish the week strong. I got some good jobs I'm doing now. So we're going to turn the week around right here in the last 2 days of the week. All my parts are here. Quick struts too. Look, assembled in USA. It's like Snap-on. Let's see what we got. It's like Christmas. Oh, look at that. That's a thing of beauty. Let's see what this one looks like. Should be very similar, but bigger. Oh, yeah. Guys, this is going to be a good ticket. These struts are ready to go. I'll pop these things in there, put the axle. I think they had to order the axle seals. By mistake, they sold 2 axles instead of 1 axle and 1 axle seal. So I said, we'll take the axle off the ticket and let's do both axle seals. So hopefully those won't take too long because that'll hold me up. But you adapt and overcome, you know. You get used to it, you do what you got to do to make it work. This is tight. I'm gonna guess those cross numbered bolts are about 250 foot-pounds. You mess with me, you get messed with. Sometimes if you give it a couple good smacks with them, use the weight of the axle and slide hammer it out. We're gonna lose our shield here. And that seal should pop out of there with a pry bar. But just in case there's a little bit of a fiasco going on, I'm not going to pop it out yet. Because if I damage it and then something happens where they bring the wrong one, they find out they can't get it after all, then we got a big mess. So from experience, I learned, just wait a second, look at the new seal before you destroy the old one. Because even though it's leaking a little, at least there's something there, right? All right, Nissan Versa. Some of you guys might remember this car from last week. A week in the shop. Uh-oh. The other way. This is the one with the broken door handle. That's terrible. Gotta push it twice to unlock the other doors. We're not fixing that though, guys. We're fast and furious, bro. We're gonna fix his exhaust so it doesn't sound like that car. You hear that? Should see if he wants to race. Because I got 8 speeds in my manual transmission too. And I'll use a laptop to tune the fuel management while I'm racing you. Enough horsing around. Let's put some exhaust on this here Nissan Versa. Now this is not the best lift for this exhaust work, but it'll work. You come in here and spray everything down with some of the deep creep magic stuff, and it'll make our jobs a little bit easier. Let's see what we got here. You get lubed, you get lubed, you get lubed. Everybody gets lubed. I mean, how are we gonna get any action if it's not lubed? You know what I'm saying? We don't want stuff to snap and squeal and complain. So we gotta use lots of lube. That's what a gentleman does. Let's see here. Hey, whoa, 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 wait a second. Don't be thinking that way. I'm talking about rubber bushings, guys. Come on. I led you there. I apologize for that. I'm supposed to be the adult in the room. Let's grab a, looks like a 14. I don't know if these threads are going to come out, but uh-oh. Oh, that's no good. I'm going to have to get a flange repair kit. That is broke. I thought it looked okay last time, but I didn't look close enough, did I? Because that is not okay. And that's terrible news. We're going to have to get a flange repair kit you can put around here and hold it on this weld. As a matter of fact, I could probably tack weld it to keep it from sliding off. Alright, let's go see the new parts we got. Alright, I showed you guys the flange just snapped off of this thing. So I got to find a way to mate a gasket to that. So it comes with a tapered flat lead gasket, or a lead style. I'm not sure what material it is, but that's how it seats in there and it crushes against whatever you put it on. So I've got some wiggle room. So my plan is to clean this up so it'll weld, and then to weld this flange flush with the end and use a fill weld technique to take up the gap, because this cat's $1,200 right now. It's crazy money. So I'm just going to go ahead. I missed this, so this is on me, but I'm going to come up with something that'll make this work, and we'll show you the progress a little bit as we go, each step of the way. That should be pretty good. Well, as often happens around here, the welder's been out of gas for 2 months, and we don't use it a lot, but I reminded him a couple of times and we still don't have gas for the welder. So no one will be impressed with the welds, but this lady has to have this car back today, so we got to find a way to make it work. I put some weld on the edges of the flange to get it tight on the, and centered, kind of. It doesn't have to be perfect, gotta be close. Now I can try to fill weld around here, and it's gonna be ugly as hell. So I'll just grind it all flat. It'll have something for the gasket to seat on, and I'll show you guys what I end up with, even if it's ugly. He's been doing that for like a half an hour. I'm not sure what's going on over here. He's horny or something. I had all kinds of plans to show you guys that I know how to weld, but as usual, things don't always go as they're planned. So, show you what I got. It's ugly as hell. This is one of those times when a welder would say, no gas, it can't be done. And a mechanic would say, I'm gonna find a way to get this thing out of here. So all I've done is I've built up enough of the ugly ass weld to fill in the gap so it won't leak exhaust, and I'm gonna get my grinder. I'm gonna grind it flush. That's the word I meant to use. I'm gonna grind it flush, because I'm obviously a mechanic, not a welder apparently. Although one of these days I'll show you guys I actually do know how to weld. I've actually fabricated cars and chassis and stuff like that, but it's just not gone to plan the past couple of attempts. With no gas, there's no way you can get the oxygen out of the area and stop the splattering and nastiness, but it still holds. So it'll just be ugly, and all I really need is a gasket surface. Now I'm going to use the trusty, I don't know the part number of this thing, but it's a Bosch angle grinder. And it works way better than using a little Milwaukee grinder that's going to go through 3 batteries and 6 little green discs. I'm just going to hit it with this. Safety first. I think we're in business. I think we're in business. I'll show you guys how it's going to look nice and close. Coming this way. It's a little prettier. It still ain't real pretty, but these soft gaskets are very pliable and forgiving. So right around this outer edge, boom, that's gonna be perfect. It's gonna work good. I don't even need these bolts in there, but I don't know. I might as well leave them in there, right? What am I gonna do with them? I ended up having to go cut the springs off the old flange so I could reuse them. I might need to get a bigger washer. That don't look too good. But this definitely has to flex and stuff, so should be good though. Gotta tighten these up, see if it's leaking or not. Hopefully, I don't think it will be. All right, here goes nothing. All right, I call that a victory. Gonna let it warm up and heat up all the pipes, burn all the oil off. One axle seal. Pop a new one in there. It doesn't hurt this rubber edge. This is just a dust seal, so it's okay to tap on that. It doesn't hurt anything. Now I just want to make sure this thing's pretty flush and it looks perfect. Look at that. Perfect. I always put a little bit of clean transmission fluid on a transmission seal and clean motor oil on an engine seal. I also have a lubricant that's made for seals if you're not sure. Kind of comes with a lot of seals and stuff. Looks like this. This is for engine seals though. You always want to try to use compatible fluid to pre-lubricate the seals. Where are we now? Hold this all up so it won't impact the new seal. Install shield. I always try to get these bolts started before sliding the axle in all the way, because it's a lot easier to turn it when it's only in a tiny bit than it is once you seat it flush against the bracket. So, and once those bolts are started, a couple turns, then you just show it a little love, and it's in. It's got to go a little further. It's got a built-in slide hammer. No more by hand. Let's get that mountain wrench, take care of it. Get back on there, that's not it. I'm not done with you yet. That's good. I left my nuts around here somewhere. Now it's really tricky. Don't try that at home if you're a rookie. Sonic socket, so far so good. You're writing love notes in the sky. Praise Jesus. Or is that would be just you? Oh, okay, he's finishing it now. Now it's gonna say praise Jesus in a minute. Says F on there, so you definitely want to F to the front. This strut even comes with better nuts than the factory ones. That's surprising. They're lock nuts, so I'm going to use them. I normally discard them because they're junk, but when they give you a nylon lock nut, yeah, that's the way to go. The original nuts were 14, or replacements are 15. Sneaky bastards. Come on! I think we're pretty close. Alright, let's see if we can get this brake hose retainer in here. Okay. Bottomed out. This is missing a little bracket that's supposed to bolt to this. So I'm going to have to tie wrap it like someone else had already done the last time. Alright, I don't want someone who's a pillar of the community like Rain Man Ray to be upset with me. So new cotter pins it is. Yeah. Look at that. It's a thing of beauty. This is where I come in. Is that right? Camera. Now, there they are. Right inside that little piece of that brace. Hopefully I'll take that brace off. See if I can climb in the trunk and get in there with a ratchet of some kind. Try the other off. Now this side, much the same. I'm going to do the top first on this side though, just to make it interesting. Put the correct reverse on my gun. Come on. There you go. Boom. Whew. I want to say that's easy, but I'd be lying. There's the sky and the hood of an F-150 from the trunk. Weird, the other side went right in. This side, it's not happy about it at all. Alright, torque wrench cam. Just a tiny, like a few ounces low, not bad. I'm gonna let it heat up before I try adding fluid. Surprised nothing came out when I pulled the axles out, but it's not low. You gotta always air your tires up before an alignment, otherwise it'll affect the alignment because the car won't be sitting at the correct ride height, things like that. Luckily, a lot of modern cars have an air pressure display right on the dash, and if any of the tires are low where it's going to affect an alignment, you'd have a tire light on the dash. So with some of these earlier cars, you definitely got to go through the motions and make sure the tires are right. Lock. the old steering wheel in. That is straight as an arrow. Now let's go see what our alignment looks like. Alright, not too terrible. I'm gonna get this thing to tow out a little bit over here. There you go. Alright. This one's gonna need some tow out because it's too far positive. Ugh. Alright, I don't want to get too carried away. I'll go the other way a little bit. I'll lock this side down. It's about ready to go. It's about time to go home. Tomorrow's Friday. That caster is going to correct when I put it down to print it, because it's not live like it makes you think it is. Alright guys, got the Prius battery back together again. Third time. I told you earlier that another cell went bad and I got the red triangle again. So now I've replaced 4 more cells. Already got it back together though. It's Friday. eBay pulled my listings because Snap-on complained about those. I told you that in a short. I don't know if you've seen the short video, but... Alright. Alright guys, this Cream Puff 2001 Nissan Maxima, fixing to go down the road, see how she runs. I'm sure it'll be good. It's got a little bit of caster to the right. You can see here, it's not adjustable. That's in the frame. Just barely out of spec. But there's no adjustments for it other than a body shop. Someone can torque some things or twist some things. You might be able to modify a lower arm bushing or something in the front, I would think. I swept the caster like 5 times on this car just to make sure everything was reading correctly. This one is done. Alright guys, we're going to take a look at this 2015 Kia Soul. This thing has got 146,234 miles. Customer states it's never been tuned up, the oil might be low, and it runs bad. I'm like, well, all of those things are definitely true. We're going to take a look, throw the scanner on it, see what the oil looks like, maybe do an oil change. I wouldn't be surprised on these newer cars. You don't change the oil, they run bad because the cam actuators will either stick or not work from low oil or poor oil quality. Super critical, guys. Change your oil. 3,000 miles if you drive around town a lot, 5,000 miles if you're on the highway a lot. But to save 30 or 40 bucks and destroy your engine, just not worth it. Anyway, let's get the scanner in this thing. Of course, we gotta cut off their super duper watch your employees very well module. They might not be happy about it, but it's going to happen anyway. Get that plugged in. I'll save the tie wrap because it looks like I could just pop it back on with that tie wrap when I'm done. I'm going to go into ECM. There's no check engine light when it's running, oddly enough, but we'll see if there's any codes. Catalyst efficiency below threshold, no engine performance codes. I'm going to do an oil change real quick, and we'll come back and see how it runs. GoPro, wonderful. It's like the 5th time I had to pull the battery out of it already today. It's only 11 o'clock. 2001 Ford Escape. 200,415 miles on this Cream Puff. It's he's a fighter. He's a lover. Nope, he's a fighter, not a lover. That's it. I'm more of a lover than a fighter. But I'll fight somebody, especially if they call me a cheap bastard. Guys in my comments are pretty funny. Anyway, welcome to Making It Work. I'm Jimmy. I got a little chip on my shoulder this week because I'm tired of getting pushed around. Bullies online, bullies on the Snap-on trucks, bullies on the Snap-on corporate level. But we're going to look at this for a coolant leak. 2001 Ford Escape. I just pour water in when I'm checking for a leak. You don't want to have antifreeze pouring all over the ground if you got a leak, right? might as well just use water. And if you want to fix it, you're only draining water back out too. So lots of reasons to just use water. Cost less too. Uh-oh, I didn't put any pressure on it, but it is leaking out the front. And radiator and hoses are the only thing up front. It's definitely leaking up front. So my options are to take all this undercover stuff off or look a little closer up front from the top. Let's do that. Look at that. That is nasty. I don't know if it's JB Weld or stop leak. They've been pumping it full of stop leak and the radiator's busted in a whole bunch of different ways. I'm going to take a quick look around at the belts and hoses too and make sure they look like original hoses. Someone's already fixed the heater hose, patched it. Okay, I'm going to at least recommend the radiator hoses and a thermostat. It's been overheated, so that messes with your thermostat operation. And some of that plastic is kind of sketchy. Hopefully that doesn't crack while you service it. You have to make a note of that. And then a radiator. We'll see what happens. Can't tell if that's a Beechcraft or something like that. It's pretty far away already. Alright, we're doing the tune-up and induction service on this. We're going to hold off on the cat though. Let's do it. Gonna take some of these things out of the way. Make it a little easier to pop them coils out of there. This should be pretty easy and straightforward. Quick, easy maintenance tune-up. Like I said in some of my other videos too, some of these connectors are pretty fragile, especially on Toyotas and Nissans. So I'll try to unbolt the coils and lift them out. If there's enough wire, I'd rather not unplug it and risk damaging the connector. Some cars are so short you don't have much of a choice. I'm just going to break the spark plugs loose, and then I'm going to use power tools. Oh man, they're not even really tight. I just adapt the old 1/4 inch ratchet down at 3/8. Yeah, they've been in there a while if they're not original. Makes a lot of noise over there. Didn't you realize I'm running a studio over here? Don't put any anti-seize or any of that on these spark plugs. They're nickel coated, so it stops corrosion and all that kind of stuff. And it stops it from trying to stick to the aluminum head. You don't have to add anti-seize. Can actually cause problems. Anti-seize can cause the spark plug to misfire and things like that, cause it to loosen up. So you definitely don't want to put anti-seize on these. The only time I put a dab of anti-seize is on a vehicle with really old, you know, those AC Delco plugs that were black, nitrided instead of being nickel plated, stuff like that. Now we grab a ratchet to make sure they're tight. About a turn from fully seated. The only discrepancy is how well you seat them to begin with. Sometimes it ends up being 3/4 of a turn. But you'll feel it. You want them about 15 foot-pounds or so. Every car's a little bit different, but I mean, you'll feel it. If you're not sure and you just started doing this, then use a torque wrench. Find out what they should be. And after you've done a few dozen of them, you'll feel what it's supposed to be like. I find way too many spark plugs aren't tight enough. A little bit of dielectric grease. Really good stuff. Hey man, you're working on a live set. I guess it sounds more like a real shop than a studio. And there's a bunch of noise in the background. Yeah, piece of cake. This thing's tuned up. Now it's just time to hook up the induction setup. I'm going to do the WINS induction service. This goes in the tank. Both of these go in the intake. And I've mentioned this before if you've seen some of my other videos. They kind of do the same thing, but in a different way. So I tend to use the decarbon foam cleaner first and then run this through in my dispenser container, which is right here. I'll hook that up and I'm going to go into the purge valve vacuum port, which is right there on top of the throttle body here. But I'm going to back it out of the shop because sometimes it smokes a little bit while it's doing it, so I don't want all the guys to breathe a lot of it. They'll only have to breathe a little bit. That's how I roll. But every time I do this, almost every time, it'll set some misfire codes and fuel trim codes. So you're gonna have to get the scanner and clear it out afterwards. Supposed to do this can in 3 steps. Stop the engine, let it soak for 10 minutes, every third of the can. And this does have a lot of miles on this car, so I'm gonna do that. On a newer vehicle without that much mileage, doing it in 2 steps is enough. Of course, you're guessing how much you go through in the can. There's no way to see it. You gotta go by weight. Alright, got a nice little triple out of this. That's what it's supposed to look like. You want to try to do this over about a 20-minute time period. If you go any faster, you're just dumping raw fluid in there and it's not going to be effective. You just push it out the exhaust when you hit the gas the first couple times. When you see guys that drive them away and there's tons of smoke, it's because they did it too fast. I usually shoot for 15 to 20 minutes to have it done. After about 5 minutes, I'll look at the level in here. And if it's barely gone down, it's too slow. If it's down here, I got to slow it way down. So we'll let this cook a few minutes and we'll ask Alexa to set an alarm. That's about perfect. It's been 5 minutes and it's down about a quarter of the way, maybe a tiny bit less. That's about it. It'll suck it out of the hose and then it's done. See that going down, that's the end of it. Now all the fuel trims are going, hey, what happened? Something changed. It's funny, the idle actually went down when it ended. And I don't like to just shut them off right away after it ends. I lower the engine speed, leave it running. Hopefully it doesn't misfire or anything. If you did it right, there's not too much fluid in the intake manifold. I let it run a couple minutes now without the fluid. No check engine light, that's pretty good. One of the other things I like to do, because some customers like to pop their hood and have a nice look to see what you did. And since they really don't know what they're looking at, one of the things I find helps is to just wipe some things down, wipe some dust off. It's evidence that you were under here, and then you care a little bit. I just wipe some things down. They don't know what the parts are or what you replaced, but they know they can look and see if it's been messed with. It's kind of funny. I've had customers watch me do the work and accuse me of not doing stuff after we were done. So, because they just came here for a drive. All right, guys, we're battening down the hatches. Week 46 coming to a close. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was entertaining for you. It wasn't really that entertaining for me, I gotta be honest with you. Hopefully week 47 is gonna be better. Thanks for watching. Make sure you torque that like button down at the bottom of the screen. Really appreciate that. It helps the channel out. Maybe leave a comment. Tell me about how I'm a crybaby, or how it could be worse, or how terrible it was and how you feel for me. You guys are awesome. I'll see you in week 47. Be there or be square.